Slideshow narrated by Gainer Miyashiro of Yonoshiro Chojinkai.
Thank you, Sandy. This morning, we would like to introduce you to a very special man, Kyuzo Toyama. In the early 1900s, he helped to change the lives of thousands of Okinawans by pioneering immigration to Hawaii and beyond. In 1868, King Kalakaua visited Japan and worked out an agreement with the emperor to enlist the Japanese as contract laborers. In November of the very same year, Kyuzo Toyama was born to Ushi and Seisuke Toyama in Namisato Kin village in the northern part of Okinawa called Kunigami. The family was of noble status and had wealth, but over the years, his wealth diminished. Kyuzo's father passed when he was 7, and his mother cared for the 5 siblings. Kyuzo was a bright child. He demonstrated leadership early on and completed school in 2 years at age 16. Kyuzo was a teacher, a principal, a politician, and an activist. He fought for equal rights for Okinawans and often lost his positions as a result. Undaunted, Kyuzo kept looking for ways to improve the lives of Okinawans. He heard about the contract laborers and pursued this option for the Okinawans with the governor of Okinawa. Governor Narahara was not in favor of the immigration and denied Kyuzo 3 times. On the 4th visit, Kyuzo was finally successful in negotiating a pilot program to take the Okinawans overseas. His plan was to take the laborers from his hometown of Kin village, where he has been persuaded them to take this opportunity. Governor Narahara had 2 conditions for Kyuzo. Correspondence was to be channeled through the government, and representation of the laborers must be from across Okinawa, and not just from Kin village. In the meantime, Kyuzo mortgaged his home and lands, got investors to help fund the trip, and continued to solicit potential laborers through advertisements in the Ryukyu Shimpo. The contract was shared with the potential workers. Their terms and conditions were so unfamiliar to the Okinawans. Kyuzo and the recruitment agents worked hard to explain that the money they could make as laborers would help their families and Okinawa. The first group of immigrants came from 8 areas in Okinawa: Haibaru, Itoman, Keruma, Kin, Naha, Nishibaru, Oroku, and Shuri. They ranged in age from 23 to 25. 4 of them were of gentry class. On December 5th, 1899, Kyuzo accompanied the group from Naha to Yokohama. They stopped in Kagoshima and Osaka, and while in Yokohama, took a side trip to visit the former Okinawa king, Viscount Shotai, who lived in Tokyo. He gave them words of encouragement, and each person received 2 towels and 1 yen. While in Yokohama, the group underwent paperwork, physical exams, and preparation for the trip. During this time, the recruiter deemed that the clothing the men wore was not appropriate and enlisted the services of a Chinese tailor. Finally, the steamship City of China left Yokohama Harbor on December 30th, and 10 days later arrived at Honolulu Harbor. In 1990, HUOA did a reenactment of the arrival of the first immigrant group. This large event was celebrated with a ceremony held at the pier with a walk down King Street to Iolani Palace, where a special program honored the immigrants. There were still many Issei around at that time to attend the event. Kyuzo did not arrive with the first group of immigrants. He had remained in Okinawa to prepare future groups to work in Hawaii. 6 months after arriving in Hawaii, the contracts were voided and the period of personal immigration began. Work was hard on the plantations, and the first group of men had many challenges. 23 men returned to Okinawa. Some were disgruntled with the hardships in Hawaii, but when they started to build their homes with tile roofs, the other villagers realized that it was possible to improve their lives and be rich. Matasuke Toyama, younger brother of Kyuzo, who was with the first group, wrote this letter. If we stayed in our village as in the past, we would spend 2 yen for liquor and cutting grass for the horses and cattle during the day. If you think of it now, what a terrible way to waste our lives. It is thanks to your wise decision, brother, that we have by now saved enough money to return home in comfort. The second group of immigrants were primarily from Kin village. Kyuzo Toyama was on this voyage, and they were sent to Honoka'a, Hawaii to work. Kyuzo studied the work conditions, held morale-boosting sessions, and learned English while working in Hilo and Eva. His plan was to create a successful environment for the incoming Okinawans. By this time, there were plantations on the islands of Hawaii, Maui, Oahu, and Kauai. They traveled by boat to these islands. Kyuzo Shinjen, one of the first immigrants, was interviewed in 1939 by the Hawaii Hochi. I set out to Hawaii in 1899 when I was 27 years old. At first, I worked at a plantation field on Oahu, carrying sugarcane. Back then, Hawaii was still cultivating land. Immigrants were driven to work like a horse and bull. At $15 a month, we were pushed hard. After some 6 months, we were granted freedom of labor, so it became easier after that point. On August 12, 1910, in response to a letter, Kyuzo wrote, "Ever since I have been running around in Okinawa, scarcely getting anything, but I have made Okinawans develop to the extent that they are now rushing to the aspiration of going abroad. Already, 4,000 reaching Hawaii, and 5,000 in Mexico, Peru, New Caledonia, the Philippines, and Canada, such that the people of the prefecture cannot start a day without thinking of going abroad." Sadly, Kyuzo passed a month later on September 17 at age 41, short of his 42nd birthday. Kyuzo Toyama points eastward with the world by his side at the Kin City Hall in Okinawa. When he left in 1903 with the second group, he wrote this poem. Iza yukan warera no ie wa godaishu. Makoto hitotsu no kin sekai seki. In the Hawaii Okinawa Center Kindergarten, Kyuzo stands with his hands crossed, overlooking the map of the world. His poem translation, let us go forth. The 5 continents are our home. Sincerity and determination will uphold us, and the town of Kin, whence we came, will live forever in our hearts. Descendants of the 2 Toyama brothers, Kyuzo and Matasuke, brought back the ashes of Kyuzo to Hawaii, where he was laid to rest in the year 2000 at Mililani Memorial Park. Ugaji debiru, because of you. Ippe nife debiru. Thank you, Kyuzo Toyama, for never giving up and being the father of Okinawan immigration, and also to the first and second groups of immigrants, and all those who followed. Ippe nife debiru, for making 125 years of Okinawans in Hawaii a dream come true. Thank you.
Thank you.